we're diving into everything known so far about Black Ops 6 Zombies DLC 3, as we've got a massive tease about it at the end of the tomb, and we also have recent new leaked information about returning wonder weapons, new perks, new gobble gums, ammo mods, field upgrades, the storyline, and so much more. There's a lot to talk about in this video, so be sure to watch it through to the end to not miss anything. And if you're excited at the next DLC map, let me know by clicking that thumbs up button. Diving straight in, the first official details we know of this map from Treyarch is during the tomb ending, it is teased right at the very end that now that we have the amulet and the Sentinel artifact, we now need to head to the mansion in Liberty Falls. Now, why exactly do we need to go to the mansion? Well, it is explained by the SAM AI in the ending cutscene, mentions that in order to activate and harness the power of the Sentinel artifact, the artifact requires an infusion of exotic materials, unique elements that can only be harvested at Liberty Falls. Now, what the SAM AI is referring to is an exotic material called Tempest. This material dates back thousands of years ago, where originally within the Dark Ether, Cortifex the Deathless came across a Sentinel artifact and gave the Sentinel artifact to an Egyptian leader, where in return granted this leader power to control the undead and to give him immortality. But in order to gain the power of a Sentinel artifact, you have to initiate the artifact's trial. But before this trial could begin, Cortifex mentions that he needs an exotic material called Tempest that is needed in order for the ritual to begin. SAM AI mentions in the cutscene that the artifact our characters have requires an exotic material to be infused with the Sentinel artifact, and this material is the same Tempest material that Cortifex requested thousands of years ago. With this file that's open in the cutscene that shows a Richtofen file and parthenogenesis, it shows that Richtofen learned about this exotic material called Tempest, which apparently has the ability to manipulate the reproduction of asexual cells, and that this can only be harvested in Liberty Falls, with these unique elements being harvested already at the mansion, building a backstory of why the mansion itself is so important and why Richtofen is situated there. With this exotic material being harvested at the mansion and requiring the Sentinel artifact to activate, our crew are falling into a massive trap, handing over the Sentinel artifact to the SAM AI under the intentions that she's going to use it to bring back the real Samantha Maxis, when instead, this might be the final cog in Richtofen's Project Janus plan, considering Richtofen created the SAM AI himself, although it appears that the SAM AI might have become sentient, or even more likely has fused with the Forsaken, because we see in the end of the Liberty Falls cutscene that the containment sphere that the Forsaken was trapped in, that Samantha herself sacrificed herself by flying into the Forsaken, are both housed underground in the Liberty Falls mansion that might have completely separate agendas to what the original SAM AI was programmed for, or for what Richtofen wants. Now, there is a lot more we can dive in with the story, but let's now shift our focus to what we can expect gameplay-wise in this map. From various leaks so far on Twitter, from Reality UK and at Alan3rd90, the Wonderwaffe DG2 seems likely to be the wonder weapon for this map. I mean, we see Richtofen use it in the mansion in the Liberty Falls cutscene, so it feels like it's almost a given that we'll see it in this map. The Ray Gun Mark II apparently now exists again in the files, and it seems that it's added, then taken away, then added again, and that seems like it's there. So there's a chance that could also come for DLC 3, or that could be coming to a future DLC map. We can assume, based on what we've seen in the intro cutscene, that we'll have Richtofen's room, this landing area, as well as the big staircase leading into a fairly open room where we have a lot of weird things such as a dinosaur skeleton and the potential of an elevator to take us to the underground lab section where we might encounter the SAM AI physically in person. Like, imagine if that ended up being the boss fight on the map. That would be actually really cool. But according to Call of Duty leaker The Ghost of Hope, apparently the mansion is seemingly to be a small map, described as being similar to both Liberty Falls and the Tomb. Now, just logically here, if the Zombies map is solely based on a mansion, and inside of a mansion, that is one singular building. But it's not the first time that we've seen a mansion in a Zombies map, because we also had Black Ops 4's Dead of the Night that had a mansion, but there was also multiple areas outside of the mansion. And with this mansion being set in Liberty Falls, I wouldn't put it past Treyarch to have some other locales just outside of the mansion that sort of connect the dots between this and the main Liberty Falls Falls map. Because within the Liberty Falls Zombies map, you can literally see the mansion outside of the map when you're in the chopper gunner. You can see it's on the top of the hill, which is a really neat Easter egg, and it would be really cool if these connected where you could actually see the main Liberty Falls map from it as well. Now, apart from the very obvious appearance of the Sam AI, it's also very likely that we're going to be seeing Blanchard in the flesh in this map, since he was talking to the in Liberty Falls from the mansion, as well as Dr. Panos, because we see him originally in that TV screen before he vanishes into the Dark Ether. And in the Liberty Falls Easter egg, it ends with Panos successfully leaving the Dark Ether. But throughout the Easter egg, he makes a ton of very strange comments about his trip in the Dark Ether that insinuates some very interesting things, like as if to assume that he potentially was in contact with Samantha Maxis whilst in the Dark Ether, as during one of the Easter egg steps, Panos says, just because you're missing doesn't mean you're dead. Isn't that so? And Blanchard asks, who are you talking to? And he says, just a rhetorical question, that's all. But that subtly hints to the idea that he might have been talking to other people in the Dark Ether, if it's voices in his head, if it's actual physical manifestations of people that he saw. But it also seems like he's also subtly saying that while Samantha's missing, that doesn't mean that she's dead, because he said, just because you're missing doesn't mean you're dead. The dynamic between Panos and Blanchard throughout the Liberty Falls Easter egg shows that clearly there is going to be a shift in power once Panos returns to the physical world. And in the Easter egg, he does make a deal saying that if you free him, he will help find your friends if he ever gets out of here, referring to helping to find Samantha. I'm really hoping that Panos and Blanchard have big roles in this map, and having someone who was just previously in the Dark Ether able to share that experience and enlightenment with the team might explain how this crew eventually enter the Dark Ether, because we know several years later from the Modern Warfare Zombies storyline that all of those ex-Requiem members were exposed to the Dark Ether in an attempt to try and save Samantha, and eventually they die from the Dark Ether exposure that we see in the Modern Warfare Zombies intro cutscene. So whilst the whole setup of the mansion doesn't seem at first entirely exciting, there's actually a lot more layers and depth to it all. Now, everything in this video, if it's leaks found within the code or from insiders sharing information like this, it should all be taken with a grain of salt, because until we actually see the first images and reveal of it, we only have one person's word to go off. Let's now jump on the topic of perks, gobble gums, and field upgrades. As reported on Twitter by @RealityUK, there is quite a few unreleased zombie stuff still within the files. The first being the potential new perk, because back during Season 1 Reloaded, there was coding in the game for both Death Perception, Mule Kick, and Tombstone. We obviously got Death Perception with the Tomb, so it's looking likely that it's between either Mule Kick or Tombstone, but RealityUK posts to say that it's going to be Tombstone. However, there was one other new perk discovered within the Season 2 files that will definitely excite some people. Now, we need to temper expectations here, because even RealityUK isn't 100% sure on this, but there is a perk that has the code name D_mod, which he is assuming could potentially be Double Tap. Now, out of any perk that Treyarch could bring back for this game, Double Tap is without question the highest requested perk to return, because it would make every weapon a ton more viable into higher rounds. As from round 30 onwards, a lot of the weapons have a severe damage drop-off, and this would completely fix that problem, making weapons viable well into round 60. And imagine just how much better this perk would be with the addition of different augments. It would be incredible. Now, it does seem at some point that Treyarch were planning on bringing Double Tap back in the Dark Ether story, because in Black Ops Cold War, a Dark Ether version of the jingle was found in the files, implying that the perk was at some point planned to come to the game. Now, again, definitely temper your expectations here, because just because there is a perk with that code name doesn't necessarily mean that that is Double Tap, nor that it could even come to the game. Moving on to new enemies for the map, we aren't actually sure, although leaks from Alan the Third 90 all the way back in November correlate to there being the existence of the Hellhound inside of Zombies, as well as a list of elite bosses that were in the game and were in the files, which included Mimic, which we now got in DLC 2, but the only remaining one that we haven't yet seen is a boss labeled as Mecha Claus or Mecha Klaus. Now, obviously, the name Klaus makes us think of Klaus the robot, who we saw in Bauer Toten and is a current operator within Black Ops 6. Could it be some mecha version of him? I'm not quite sure, but that is apparently in the files, along with Mangler and Mimic, Parasite, Vermin, Amalgam, and Abomination, and we've had all of them now apart from Mecha Klaus. Moving on to ammo mods, it seems that the next ammo mod could be Shatterblast. Those of you unfamiliar with Shatterblast, it was an ammo mod in Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, and it makes all bullets bullets deal explosive damage, with each bullet having the chance to deal additional explosive damage and destroy any impacted armor with an explosion, so being extremely useful for any armored zombies, including the heavy zombies, and would be huge for certain boss fights like the Citadel one where you have a boss that has armor. It was my favorite ammo mod to run in Black Ops Cold War, especially for Outbreak, and I think will fit really nicely into the Black Ops 6 zombies meta. Moving on to field upgrade, the only unreleased field upgrade that exists in the file so far is Frost Blast, which we saw in Black Ops Cold War, Call of Duty Vanguard zombies, and Modern Warfare zombies, and when activated causes a blast of wind that deals frost damage and slows enemies caught inside of it, where those slowed down enemies take additional damage, a little bit like using the upgraded Ice Staff shot. The only other field upgrades that we haven't yet seen return from Black Ops Cold War now is Toxic Growth as well as Ring of Fire. Now, I would personally love to see Ring of Fire return, but I just think in Treyarch's eyes it might just be a little bit too overpowered now, so we might not see it return. But there was also another field upgrade that never made it into Black Ops Cold War zombies, which was called Barricade. And the idea of this is it would create an instant cover when you needed it to fortify key positions and objectives. It would have slowing radiation that would slow down the zombies, potentially taking them out, but it was never fully realized and was cut from the zombies mode, so potentially they might rework it into Black Ops 6 zombies so we can actually see it, but who knows. Let's now move on to the rumored Gobblegums, because there are quite a few Gobblegums that we saw within the Gobblegum Mania event background, where we saw fully completed artwork of brand new redesigns of old Gobblegums, which included Aftertaste, Fear and Headlights, Head Drama, and Flavor Hexed. Aftertaste would allow you to keep all of your perks no matter how many times you go down, but for 3 rounds. Fear and Headlights allows any zombies seen by the player to freeze on the spot, and this lasts for 2 minutes. Head Drama allows any bullet, no matter where on the body, to be a headshot on a zombie. And Flavored Hex will select a random Mega Gobblegum of any rarity that isn't in your loadout and give it to you. And one final Gobblegum not in that list that was teased to come to the game even before the game released, and that is Shopping Free, where for a whole minute everything on the map is absolutely free. We know that it's definitely coming, we just don't know when. So there is definitely a lot of potential for a lot of really exciting Gobblegums to make their way to the game. But the big question is, when is DLC 3 coming out for Black Ops 6 Zombies? So far, the cadence of new round-based zombies maps by Treyarch have been absolutely wild. We got one for Season 1 Reloaded, then a new one for Season 2, and according to Insider, the Ghost of Hope, every season will have a new round-based map besides one season. With Hope assuming that Season 4 will be the season that will skip a zombies map, meaning that we could see the mansion with Season 3. And he backs this up by saying you'd think that with the dance coming we would get a delay, but given mansion is a small map, he thinks it comes with Season 3, which currently is set to begin on the 20th of March. So if that ends up being true, then we could see this map in literally just over a month's time. But despite this map being set in Liberty Falls, which might sound a bit disappointing to some, the storyline implications on this map could be anything but boring. There has been so much lore within the storyline literally leading up to this map and this moment. If we even look at the ending of Modern Warfare Zombies, in the mirror there is a brief flash of the Liberty Falls mansion with a shadowy figure known as the Shadow Smith that reveals themselves in that mirror briefly. We know from our crew's point of view that they are going here to try and save Samantha Maxis using the Sentinel artifact to get her out of the Dark Ether, but yet the way the Modern Warfare Zombies ending cutscene ends, we literally see Ava being pulled into the Dark Ether, seemingly by Samantha Maxis, and this is set 30 years after the events of Black Ops 6, where thanks to Modern Warfare Zombies, we know that our ex-Requiem crew members actually failed to save Samantha. So in some ways, this map is really building up to what feels like a conclusion, but we have at least one more DLC map to go after this, with rumors now saying that we might even get a 5th DLC map to close off the Black Ops 6 Zombies season. And that would lead straight into all of the rumors about what this upcoming Black Ops Zombies game is going to be at the end of 2025, which just sounds insane. That's everything we know so far of the first gameplay leaks and details for DLC 3. The moment we get any more information, I'll be sure to share it, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on